Hey everyone, and welcome back to my Completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS and Ascension. And in this long-awaited episode, we are finally going to confront Sendai herself in her Enclave's inner sanctum. And we have already crafted everything we wanted in the previous episode, and before this one I have already picked our spells, so the only thing we really need to do is set up a new spell sequencer on Senashira, the same that she had before, that she had used in our battle against the Illithid and their thralls, consisting of 2 secret words and 1 spell thrust. And now we can just safely rest in our pocket plane and go back to Sendai's Enclave. And before we really proceed with our final preparations before the fight, we're also going to set up a spell trigger on Senashira that should prove useful in this upcoming encounter for her. And in it we are going to place spell immunity to abjuration, spell shield, and true sight. And basically with it she is going to be able to quickly reapply her spell protections and gain the true sight effect, which you know, is going to likely prove very useful in the upcoming fight. And basically just how I've been doing it in recent times, I am going to dispense the long-lasting single target buffs that would take a while to cast off camera, and I'll be back in a second. And we're back. So we are all pre-buffed with chaotic commands, death wards, and remove fear. Our divine casters both have shields of the archons and armors of faith. Senashira, Kirinai, and Imoen receive protection from fire, and when it comes to protecting ourselves against magical damage, which is going to be a concern in the upcoming encounter, due to a strong possibility of some horrid wiltings flying around, we have given Senashira and Jaheira protection from magic energy, granting them total immunity to that type of thing, and Kirinai has received the level 8 spell, Protection from Energy, giving her 75% resistance to that type of damage. Anomen is going to be well protected against it too, thanks to his belt of inertial barrier and his armor of faith. And when it comes to Imoen and Sarevok, with Imoen we're going to try to stay out of trouble, and Sarevok can potentially drink a potion of magic shielding if he really needs to, but I don't think this is going to be necessary. We have also applied spell shields on our mages, and Anomen has already started his personal pre-buff, so let's give him drop on Holy Might, some mirror images to our mages. And when it comes to haste in this encounter, I am not going to use improved haste, because I think it would make this encounter a little too easy. So we are just going to have to use the peasant level 3 version on everyone, and after that is done, we are going to apply some finishing touches on everyone, and we should be ready. Next order of business is going to be applying a lot of globes. We're going to apply globes of invulnerability on our mages, and globes of blades on our divine casters. Also, Anomen is going to get something unusual, something that we haven't really had the chance of giving him too often yet, and that is going to be Aura of Flaming Death. With it, he's going to achieve total fire immunity, and also he is going to be able to reflect some damage potentially on attackers, because of course damage coming from fire shields bypasses magic resistance, and for that same reason we are going to give Fire Shield Blue to Senashira. And I think after that we can apply some spell immunities to abjuration on our mages, and we're going to be ready to say hi to Sendai after stepping into her inner sanctum. We are not going to give spell immunity to abjuration to Kirinai though. We have 4 scrolls of spell immunity left, and we could probably spare 1 here, but I would like to start seriously saving up some resources for the final fight of the whole saga, which we are approaching steadily, but we are getting closer to it with every episode, so I think this is not going to be necessary here, and we're just going to forego that type of buff. And last thing, we are going to use Spectral Brand in this encounter on Jaheira, I think. Not to become victim of some kind of an unlucky interruption coming from the fireball coming from our Club of Detonation. It would be pretty unlucky considering our buffs here, but the battlefield in this next encounter is going to be such that it's going to be pretty small, and we would likely be in range of such an unlucky fireball. So let's just give our new Spectral Brand a chance here and deal some cold damage instead of the fire one we have seen so much recently. And yeah, I think now we should be totally ready, so let's go in.
Slaughtered, falling helplessly before your might. You would have made a great ally to our cause. Alas, the time for such possibilities is past. But the lives of my servants and slaves have not been spent in vain. They have bought me time to prepare a special surprise for you. Prepare to meet your end, Bhaalspawn.
Well, let's see that surprise. So yeah, she is going to create statue clones of herself and disappear for a while until all of those statues are killed. And all of these statues are going to... well, they're going to all have a pretty high level, around level 25, with some slight deviations, either higher or lower from that. They all have 84 magic resistance, and they are immune to backstab and crits. And basically, well, we can go through all of them now. This top left one is a cleric. This top one is a cleric mage. The top right one is a berserker. The central right one is an archer. The bottom right one is a mage. The bottom central one is an assassin. And the bottom left is a kensai. And the big difference coming from SCS here is that normally in the unmodded game, the statues or the subsequent statues only come alive whenever the previous one is killed. So we start out with this cleric one, and only after she dies, another one would come alive. But SCS makes it such that they just come alive regardless. Every round, one of these statues is going to activate. Also in this encounter, there are going to be some reinforcements coming from either the stairs, and sometimes they are going to teleport in. And they consist of level 22 Kensai guys with high level abilities and some level 12 mages, which are not that big of a concern, but they can become a nuisance if left alone. So that's it for now. We're going to talk about Sendai once she comes back, but now let's see what this cleric has to offer, and let's just kind of approach. We're going to, I think, go close to her with Anomen and Jaheira once she receives her pre-buffs, and I think this mage here should activate very shortly as well. Yeah, there she goes. We're going to see what her pre-buffs are, and we'll see what we have to do when it comes to that. She is going to have spell turning. We're going to see what's more, but when it comes to the clerical pre-buffs, they are largely irrelevant because Jaheira and Anomen are going to be able to interrupt her spells with their elemental damage coming from the Flail of Ages and Spectral Brand, and she should have no chance. A lone cleric at this point in the game doesn't provide much of a challenge, but let's see what this mage is going to be able to offer us. She has immunity to divination, which means that we are going to have to dispel her illusions by using Detect Illusion from Kara-Tur, so she needs to come closer. Well, maybe after this horrid wilting is... well, you can go in. Even if you receive some damage, it's going to be only 25%. Now she also has spell turning, like we've seen, and... wow, nothing else. That is pretty underwhelming. Once her improved invisibility is dispelled, then we're just going to be able to throw some dispels and just get to her. And these reinforcements already show up. So let's have Saravok and Imoen deal with them for now. Let's do some shooting, and... well, I guess Senashira can help with that task as well, until these illusions are dispelled on the mage. Alright, there we go, I think. Illusions were dispelled. There's a Ruby Ray Reversal cast on Senashira, so her spell shield is going to be off. That is one reason to perhaps consider reapplying her spell trigger somewhat soon. We'll see about that. But now that these illusions Jesus, are dispelled, I think we can just quickly throw in the spell sequencer coming from Imoen to just dispel all of her protections and be ready for a breach coming from Kara-Tur, I think. And we're going to bring Senashira closer just so we can use her damage. Alright, there we go, her protections are gone. Let's breach her physical protections. Alright, the cleric died as well. We now have Jaheira and Anomen with us as well. Alright, there we go. We can just... oh, she has a contingency with protection from magical weapons. We could switch to our normal weapons, but let's maybe offer her another breach coming from Senashira this time. Oh, actually, she has applied a spell trigger of her own with spell deflection and spell shield, so let's dispel that as well. Let's be clear with it. Our breach yeah, kind of hit a little bit after these protections, so just to be super clean, let's give her a chance here and just dispel her protections. We need to dispel her spell shield and then just spell deflection from like someone else. I think we might start casting that pretty quickly. Alright, Saravok started casting his thing. His cast is pretty quick, so let's use another Ruby Ray on Imoen as well. I just want to aim in such a way so that these dispels don't hit her at the same time, so that spell shield could potentially eat both of our dispelling spells here. Alright, also the Kensai activated, so let's actually deal with him in the meantime. And I'm also going to try not to attack these Drow as they teleport in before they actually show up, because they are, you know, as you can see from the cursor, we would be able to attack them already, but like I said, let's keep it clean. Alright, Great Whirlwind attack, which we shouldn't be really too concerned about, seeing how that Kensai is already near death. And let's prepare ourselves for... Okay, there's a mage, just level 12, so I think we can offer her a little remove magic coming from Senashira. Senashira should be open to using an ability now, but let's allow her to get her pre-buffs. Let's allow Imoen to finish with her Ruby Ray cast, and now let's use another breach, as if our previous breach didn't hit. Now that her protections are completely dispelled, as you can see, now we can offer her another breach and start damaging there. And when it comes to these low-level mages, just a minor spell turning, minor globe, and that's it. A quick remove magic should deal with all of that nicely, especially if she casts... Well, let's actually give her a chance to cast protection from magical weapons. I think that's their default first cast. Alright, there it goes. We can give her... Oh, and this is actually very well timed, because the statue of Sendai seems like the animation would indicate that she got protection from magical weapons, or absolute immunity. So this is going to be dispelled nicely by our breach, and now we can just move in with all of our characters except Senashira, who's casting that remove magic, and let's leave Saravok a little bit behind to maybe take the attention of these new reinforcements. Also the Berserker activated, and activated her Enrage, so we're going to have to deal with her next with our main combatants here, I think. Yeah, now we can switch target to the Berserker. There's also a straggler Kensai Drow attacking Imoen, who is of course safe for a pretty long time before they are able to go through her protections. Maybe let's use Saravok and Senashira to quickly kill this mage before she becomes a nuisance. Nice one. And now we'll see if these are both Kensai, or is there a mage there? I think there might be a mage. I think this is a cloaked one. Yes, it is. Alright, let's actually offer her a remove magic coming from Imoen this time. And let's just add the damage from Saravok and Senashira to all of these guys before they heal too much. Alright, the Cleric Mage activated. Let's see what she's going to have. I think her pre-buffs are a little slower to trigger, if I remember. She kind of uses, I think, a different type of thing. She did cast Improved Mantle, which is not going to do her any good, considering our +5 or higher enchanted weapons. We are going to be able to bypass it with almost everyone. Basically everyone except Anomen and Imoen, which doesn't really matter all that much. Let's have Saravok and his Globe of Blades take the attention of these melee combatants here. Maybe even Jaheira can help him, just so they don't provide too much trouble. Alright, these guys are dead. Let's see about this Cleric Mage. She just manually casts spell turning. I think her pre-buff, I do remember that her pre-buff is a little wonky. Let's give her a bit of a chance, maybe. I think she had a chain contingency sometimes that that triggered and gave her some little protections, but basically I think well, let's give her a bit of a chance. She's casting a necromancy spell that might be just Unholy Blight. Let's just see what it is. Now we have this mage that didn't die. Let's kill her. Despite her contingency with stone skins, we should get rid of her pretty quickly, and I think these guys here are dealt with as well. Now this archer activated. Let's maybe approach with someone melee before her cold shot can complicate things for us. And I think we're doing pretty well. Some additional reinforcements came about. Okay, that's a horrid wilting coming onto Senashira. Let's move towards that Sendai statue, and the only people who are somewhat vulnerable to horrid wilting are Imoen and Saravok, so let's kind of keep them in the back. Okay, now her chain contingency properly triggered. Way to go, an hour later. Alright, so that's pretty good that we waited, and we can do this cleanly here. I think in order to dispel her mislead, we can just quickly use the hood on Kirinai. I like how this true sight is pretty quick to activate. Alright, this Berserker is still there, apparently didn't die yet. Yeah, that horrid wilting didn't really do much. And I think we are... well, we should probably... it seems like that Berserker has Dimension Door and just teleported somewhere. Let's just attack whom we can. Right, and I think that Cleric Mage just activated Improved Mantle, so we can just deal with her without any other spells necessary to breach her protections. And it seems like the Assassin also activated, and I guess he starts, or she starts, invisible. We'll see what she's going to do. We're cutting through the stone skins, I guess, of this Cleric Mage. I guess offhand attack here gave us the weapon ineffective message. No, actually... well, yeah, I think this Sendai is the Berserker that received some damage from Jaheira. And I guess we'll see what happens in this crowd here. Alright, all of these guys are dealt with. Here's the Assassin that I guess got revealed by our true sight just ticking. And activated poison weapon, it seems, so let's just get rid of her quickly, and we'll see if we'll be able to just get rid of this badly injured Drow, just so that we can enter the final phase of the encounter with no stragglers. Well, I guess this one close to death is going to still persist, still remain. Let's kind of spread out a little bit and see what the true Sendai is going to be able to offer us. She basically has level 26 in Cleric and 22 in Mage, so she is pretty capable. She can offer some high-level abilities coming from both Mage and Cleric. Like, she is pretty known to cast some implosions when she has improved alacrity active. She also likes throwing out some horrid wiltings and some dispelling spells. She also has an Onyx ring that sometimes we might be able to see it, that she is going to twist that ring, and that is going to give her Dimension Door, which doesn't really accomplish all too much in this encounter here, but you'll see that before the game is over, that Onyx ring is going to be a little bit more potent, I guess. She also has 84 magic resistance. She has 197 HP. She's going to have some, of course, Mage and Cleric pre-buffs. Her movement speed is increased by 5, and her casting speed is increased by 4. She's basically immune to every debilitating status effect except Blind, Slow, and well, technically she is not immune to Time Stop either, and she is vulnerable to backstab. Contrary to, or differently from her statues, you can actually backstab Sendai. She's even immune to Deathbringer's Assault, so Saravok is not going to trivialize this encounter for us. And her own melee attacks can slow, poison, and set your strength to 3, but she rarely ever attacks with them. And these effects also all have a saving throw attached to them, with either no penalty or a -2 penalty, so pretty easy to save against regardless. Alright, so let's see what's going to go down here. Sendai, show us what you got. Alright, let us see here. She does have Spell Trap. Again, no Spell Shield, it seems. Spell Deflection, though. and immunity to both divination and abjuration, and also summons a fallen deva. So we are going to have to once again use Kirinai and her detect illusion to dispel her improved invisibility, and then we're going to be able to probably just dispel everything with our trusty spell strike here on Senashira. And in the meantime, once this fallen deva shows up, okay, now we're going to be able to just quickly dispatch her. And yeah, that's that onyx ring here. It might bring her outside of the vision. Well, Saravok decided to just trivialize the encounter in a different way by just Vorpal hitting the Deva, and that's it. We didn't even need to bring her HP down to 0. Thank you, Saravok. Alright, her illusions were dispelled, so let us just throw in a quick spell strike, and then she's going to be open for a quick breach from somebody.
Just like old times. Well, except for the
Boom. And she is not even going to be able to, I think... Well, maybe... I think she is casting Time Stop, so she might be able to offer us this Time Stop and perhaps improved alacrity in it. So I'm kind of hesitant to throw in this breach, because she is likely going to reapply some kind of protection at the end of her time stop, and let's not interrupt her time stop. Let's just give her a chance. Let's see what she can do. Let's just have Senashira with a renewed set of protection here in front of her, so that no spells can be too dangerous to us, and see what she can offer. Okay, that was just improved alacrity without time stop, and of course Senashira cannot use anything yet because she just used that spell strike, of course. So, well, let's see what Sendai can do here with this improved alacrity. All right, there's implosion on Senashira. That of course is not going to do anything. What do you have? What else do you have there? All right, she casts True Seeing of her own. Kelbin's Warding Whip, now she's just going to begin dispelling us, I guess. So let us throw in this breach and just be done with her. You cannot do anything against us, Sendai. You call yourself a Bhaalspawn, trying to battle the other final Bhaalspawn for Bhaal's legacy? You pathetic wench. I don't know why I'm saying these things. I don't dislike Sendai in a particular way. But, well, anyway, let's just take her down.
No! No! My Bhaal essence is ripped from my very soul! Damn you! But I may yet rob you of the glory of your victory! Know this, even as I die, the return of our father is inevitable. Though I fall, the others will ensure Bhaal is reborn.
Well, on the brink of death, she was pretty chatty and managed to give us some ominous perspectives here, saying that the return of Bhaal is inevitable. We're going to learn more about that, of course, as we go through, but now we are going to get transported to our pocket plane for some more revelations and lessons coming from the Solar.
I greet you once again, Godchild. The second of your revelations await you.
I am ready.
Good. I hope you have pondered your origin, for any being of great power must know much of themselves before they can put reason to their actions. Let us continue.
That was a little bit of a dirty sounding good coming from the Solar.
This time we are not concerned with your past, Godchild. Now we will look at your present. The prophecy proceeds towards its climax, as I am sure you are well aware. Your place in this prophecy is what is in question, perhaps. This question will be answered this once, by yourself.
Why am I here? Answer me.
You are here to tell yourself of the prophecy and your own place in it.
Unfortunately, I do not like this sequence too much, as I'm sure I'm going to elaborate on different parts of what I don't like as we go through it. But first off, I don't like any of these responses too much, because this one, we of course care about what the prophecy says. We want to learn more, so we don't want to display this indifferent attitude. This is just a silly question. Will knowing this prove some advantage to me? Well, no. Knowledge never provided any advantage to anyone, right? What a silly thing to say. Then, avoiding our destiny, we don't really know our destiny too much. We only know that the prophecy, of course, foretells the coming of the Bhaalspawn and their bloody conflict in order to inherit Bhaal's legacy and perhaps let one of them ascend to godhood and become the new Lord of Murder. And then these two ones, where we kind of know what we're talking about here. This one, of course, expresses the willingness to take Bhaal's place as the new Lord of Murder, which Seneshira does not want to go that path. And this one is what I'm going to go with. I guess this is the most fitting one. We of course know the prophecy to a certain extent, and of course we know that it says about, you know, the chaos and destruction that the Bhaalspawn you know, leave in their wake as they go through the Sword Coast and whatnot. So we can tell this one that I know my place. I am the Bhaalspawn which leaves the Sword Coast awash with blood. Or one of the Bhaalspawn would be more fitting. This kind of sounds maybe a tiny bit evil, like, you know, we want to leave the Sword Coast, you know, in rivers of blood, which Seneshira of course doesn't. She just knows about the prophecy. Let's leave it at that here.
Perhaps you are at least partly correct, but not completely. Knowledge of yourself brings power, Godchild, and control over your destiny. Listen as you speak.
So this is a copy of myself that I address, Solar.
It is a piece of you. Perhaps from another time, another dimension, but you nevertheless. Speak to yourself of Alando's prophecy, I bid you.
And this is already something that I don't like. This being counseled by yourself is a pretty cool concept, but it should have been played a little bit differently. And I guess in my head canon, I understand it as some kind of a hidden aspect of our soul, I guess, hidden piece of the essence of Bhaal kind of sleeping within us, being able to provide us some kind of inner insight with the help of the Solar, you know, when it comes to what's about to happen and the prophecy and whatnot, but not some kind of piece of us from another time, another dimension. There's also one conversation option that we are not going to use that actually expands a little bit more about this. I really don't like how this was handled.
Yes, I suppose it makes sense. I was once taught of the prophecy in this way, wasn't I? It only makes sense that I would do it myself in the future. Listen closely. You are the center of the prophecy, but not in the way you think. You bring murder to all you touch. That is true. The ones you hate, the ones you help, even the ones you love. This is part of your nature. But this is not what the prophecy speaks of. The Bhaalspawn shall bring chaos and destroy much of Faerun. But this is not done by you. You have already killed several of those Bhaalspawn who the prophecy speaks of. Those who would bring this destruction. You bring death, yes, but it is nothing like what they would do if they are successful. You are here to stop them, whether you intend to or not. You exist to prevent the prophecy from coming true. The prophecy warns of your failure, not of you.
And again, I don't really like how this was handled, as us being some kind of a chosen one that's supposed to stop the prophecy from coming true. The prophecy should be nothing more than what it has been throughout the vast majority of the whole saga and the whole story, which is just, you know, a foreshadowing of the Bhaalspawn conflict, that once they come of age, they are going to, you know, battle in the Sword Coast, bring vast chaos and destruction in order to reveal which one is possibly going to ascend to godhood in place of Bhaal, or maybe bring about Bhaal again, some kind of a return of him, or perhaps shape history in some kind of a different way yet. But there should be no more to it. And this kind of a chosen one twist, I really remove it from my headcanon. This didn't happen. But anyway, when it comes to these responses, I think they are not perfect, but I think the closest to what Senashira should respond with is going to be this one, that we are perhaps in some way, to some extent, relieved that we might not have to cause as much destruction as we had thought, perhaps.
I felt as you do once. Brace yourself for what comes next. I'll tell you that much.
You have been counseled by your own self. You are now aware of your place in these events and why you are here. Not every soul gets such an opportunity.
Alright, thank you, Solar.
Then there is but one more question before you may return to your path. When you return to the waking world, you will continue to speed towards your purpose, stopping the prophecy from coming true. My question, why will you do this?
And now our answer to this question is going to determine whether this next challenge in the pocket plane is going to be considered, you know, the good or the evil challenge. And of course I always put those in quotations, the so-called good and evil, I should have said, perhaps. Much like our previous trial, our previous challenge from this path over there, there are going to be two versions of it. And of course this is going to also determine in Ascension which Bhaalspawn ability we are going to develop once we are done with that challenge. But more on that as we go through it. And I think, oh yeah, and most of these responses are actually considered evil if you are indifferent, or if you make fun of this whole issue, or if you express your willingness to ascend to godhood and take Bhaal's place as the new Lord of Murder. Those are all considered evil. But if we say, because I am going to do it the good way, and I'm going to elaborate a little bit later, I am going to go through it the good way, and of course this fits Senashira very well. I will prevent the destruction of the land because it is the right thing to do.
Perception is truth in this one instance, godchild. Consider what you have learned, and farewell.
Alright, see ya, dude. Well, not before this path getting unlocked. And yeah, now we're going to go back to where we have defeated Sendai, and we're going to be able to do some looting. And I think still in this episode we are going to go back to the pocket plane immediately and do this challenge, since we are kind of on the topic. Now, when it comes to the statues of Sendai, sometimes they can still have some nice potions left. And some basic equipments that we can just sell for some money. Okay, you still have some space for some more potions of invisibility. Alright, this is nothing. The Kansai reinforcements have just double Drow katanas that we're not going to pick up. Oh, here the archer actually had that teleportation. Perhaps all of them have. I would have to look into it in more detail, but...
Yes?
Also this portal here appeared, which is going to bring us outside of Sendai's Enclave entirely, so we're not going to have to backtrack all the way. I'm just looting these corpses individually. Oh, very nice potion of magic shielding. I think we have 9, so this one is the 10th that we have available. You know what, let's just give this to Kirinai for now, and be able to stack some more potions of healing there. Alright, this is Sendai. We're going to loot her last in a second. This is nothing. Here we have some potions, and again. Oh yeah, this is something that Servok keeps. Alright, and here was the Kansai statue. It has just a short sword and a dagger +3, I think. So those ones are going to sell. Another nice potion. And I think we are done. Now let's loot Sendai herself. She has some notable equipment. First of all, this Wang Fei's Iron Stone. which is a really nice one. 15 hit points, some regeneration, and well, the armor class boost is not that big of a deal, and it's usable by a variety of classes. It kind of seems like it also tells the tale of a monk's prowess here that impressed Chan Cheng, a divinity from the eastern pantheon of Kara-Tur. But yeah, also different types of fighters and whatnot can use it as well. So we're going to see whom we're actually going to use it on. This is a possible candidate for Jaheira's headwear, actually. An upgrade of 10 hit points over her Helm of Balduran would be very welcome on her as well. We could use it on quite a few different characters, so we'll see about that. Also, I don't want this shield, it's nothing. We also have the Wand of Cursing, that doesn't really matter. And another unique piece of equipment that she drops is this studded leather of thorns +6, with I guess a decent armor class considering it's a studded leather. And it also has an innate kind of fire shield effect, but it doesn't really deal too much damage. Also bypasses magic resistance and basically functions like a fire shield would, but I'm not sure if we're going to find a use for it anywhere. I think we're just going to stick to our normal means of attaining such effects here and there if we want to. And now we can just loot some good potions with quick looting, and we should be soon done with it. Alright, cool. Now we can use the portal, teleport ourselves outside into that foresty area. Our old aerial servant here was unsummoned. And yeah, before we do anything else, in this episode still, we can go back to our pocket plane and check out that challenge. It's a pretty interesting one from a role-playing perspective, not so much from a gameplay one, I guess. It's a pretty simple encounter. So let's just go in there and see what's up. So here again, we're going to have to confront a part of ourselves, I guess. I am a part of you that you have forgotten, Sinashira. I'm a piece of you that you have set aside. It was I that grew up in Candlekeep, unaware of my heritage, unaware of the base evil that lurked in my soul. I left my home long ago with bright eyes to face the world. I am your innocence, Sinashira. And if you answer in an evil way, this is going to be your doubt. And the conversation is going to be a little different. They are both cool conversations. But yeah, since we, of course, answered in a good way, we are going to have to confront our innocence and a part of ourselves, I guess, that we left behind. And this is really cool. This is an important aspect of our personality. And we are going to have to come to terms here with the fact that there is no going back, and we have to press forward, as you will see from our conversation options soon. And yeah, instead of running away from our destiny, we're just going to have to face it head on. I need not be lost forever. You need not drive me from your heart, Sinashira. Your struggle against the taint of our father has eroded me, but I am not gone yet. You can still reclaim me. Yeah, what are we talking about? How can you be my innocence? This plane is an extension of yourself, as am I. You have a need to address your dwindling innocence, and so you have brought me forth. What you decide here has power, though not all decisions are conscious ones. Were you to decide to restore me, it would be so. You would be an innocent and anew, just as the day you left Candlekeep so long ago. The horror of recent events would be forever behind you. And here this is going to give us an additional exposition, or piece of exposition here. What of all my good experiences, all the knowledge and power I have gained? Gone. They must be sacrificed so that the clock may be turned back, so that I may be reclaimed. Do you not understand? Why is my innocence so important? Do you wish to keep fighting the same endless battle against the nature you were born with? Think for a moment at how much you have changed since that fateful day in Candlekeep. You have killed many, bathed yourself in blood, and the darker portions of your soul have come forth whether you have liked it or not. Do you not believe this will only continue? Let us return to a time when such trials did not have to be faced. Reclaim me, Sinashira. Cast off your tribulations, and let us both be born anew. So yeah, this is really interesting, kind of a tempting offer on some levels, but here, contrary to that whole sequence with the Solar, I actually like most of our answers here, and most of us, you know, tell us about what I've hinted already as to escaping into the past not being an answer here. So most of these answers I do like. As much as I like to be an innocent once again, I cannot sacrifice all that I have gained. I am needed as I am. Or, there's no going back to what has already passed. What you offer is no answer. Which is true, of course. Or what you describe as ignorance. I seek to master myself, not surrender. A tempting offer, yet all I am tells me this cannot be. My innocence is long lost. So yeah, we're going to say that this is not an answer. I see. So there is no room for innocence in the heart of an immortal. Such is as it was meant to be. With innocence dead, the path to what which is immortal within you lies one step closer. Face it, if you dare. And now we're going to have to battle this specific Slayer, who is just hell-bent on attacking our protagonist. He is going to just ignore everyone else, and I think we're just going to have a nice 1v1 duel against it. There's not much to tell about it. It has level 25 and 200 hit points. Basically has 75 resistance to magic, to physical damage, and to electricity, and everything else it is immune to. It's immune to backstab and pretty much everything except the blindness, I think. And it has 5 attacks per round at a +4 enchantment, so improved mantle is going to work, and of course protection from magical weapons. And these attacks can drain levels, or 1 level each time, which we are of course protected against. They can heal him for 10 HP, although this is only a chance, and also increase his strength by 1. So I think he starts out with only 16 strength, but as you allow him to hit you, to keep attacking, he is going to keep healing and increasing his strength, and is going to become more and more deadly the longer you fight with him. And, you know, of course his 75% resistance to physical damage is going to, you know, stop our efforts at really DPSing him very effectively. So I think I'm going to use an improved mantle here, just so that we can keep dealing damage to him without making him more dangerous or making him heal himself. And yeah, we can still, fortunately, with Crom deal at least 2 electricity damage, even though he is resistant to electricity. Like I said, he is not immune to it. So yeah, we're just going to be able to defeat him in this duel. This is very symbolic as well. We are just going to have to defeat our innocence kind of in a very final way. As you can see, his attack healed him here. Those animations were indicative of the level drain that we are immune to, of course. We can sometimes save against it, as you could see. There were some saves versus breath. And we also get some potions out of it. Very nice. Of course, we have gained some experience, both from fighting Sendai and completing this challenge. Senashira a little bit more, as always. And now, since we have completed this trial in the good way, we have gained our good old trusty drop on Holy Might again. And basically our choice here between the good and evil ability is kind of irrelevant for what type of character Senashira is, because drop on Holy Might here is going to be somewhat useful, a little bit more useful I think, because at our level it is going to increase our stats by 6. But when it comes to improving our constitution, you could argue that of course hit points on Senashira are not that important, because of course she is very reliant on her magical protections, not really on her HP. So we don't really want to even endanger the health pool of hers. But of course it's nice to improve it with another 6 to Constitution. Then Dexterity is going to be pretty irrelevant, of course, because armor class is pretty weak in Throne of Bhaal as a whole. And of course, again, she relies on her protections first and foremost. And she doesn't use any ranged weapons that, you know, the Dexterity would improve her Thaco with. And there is some benefit to it, though, when it comes to strength. Of course, she normally wields Cromfair with that static 25 strength 99% of the time, but we might throw a very quick drop on Holy Might whenever we have to switch to our normal Warhammer, and that drop on Holy Might is going to bring our strength right back to 25, even when using a normal weapon, because I don't think she is going to ever switch to anything else but a normal Warhammer for such situations where we need a non-magical weapon. And yeah, so she is still going to be able to have 25 strength and get all of the benefits to her Thaco primarily, and also to damage, of course, coming from that buff. And if we had gone through this challenge in the evil way, we would get a pretty interesting ability called the Dark Taint. But unfortunately, I don't consider it too useful on dual-classed characters, because it works off of character level. And we're going to talk about that in a second, but generally what Dark Taint does, it's kind of like a poison and slow type of ability that you can just instantly throw around, and for most of its stages, because it improves with your level, it's just a single target ability that has two major drawbacks. First of all, it does not bypass magic resistance, and second of all, it does allow a saving throw. As you go up in levels though, the saving throw becomes a little bit more difficult to make on the targets, and most importantly, at the end stage of the encounter, once you are character level 25 or higher, actually in the description there's actually a little, I guess, maybe not a bit of an error, I guess, because they kind of forgot to speak about the levels from 22 to 24, which is a separate stage of that ability. But anyway, the most important thing is that once you reach that character level 25, it becomes an AoE ability. So that makes it way better. In some situations, you know, you can just have a chance to poison multiple characters, or you can use it against mages, and because it's an AoE ability, it is going to bypass their single target protections, and you don't have to worry about that. Another drawback of this ability, I guess, when it comes to the poison damage, is that a lot of opponents, the prominent opponents, are just immune to poison altogether in Throne of Bhaal, so perhaps it's not that great, but, you know, it still is something that you can just quickly use. And why I'm mentioning the character level over and over again, and the fact that it's not a great ability on dual class characters, is of course because in order to determine our character level on multi-classed and dual-classed characters, it is basically the sum of our levels divided by the number of our classes rounded up. And considering that the max level of mage in the whole game is 31, and we only have 9 Kensai levels, that would mean that we would only be able to attain level 20 as Senashira's character level. So basically, if you're a single class character, this is a nice thing to pick up on, especially if you're some sort of a fighter and you don't have too many abilities normally to use. This is something nice that you can just throw in here and there. But in our case, this really wouldn't be too useful, because we wouldn't be able to go past that single target limitation, I guess, of this ability. We wouldn't be able to ever reach the AoE phase, which is basically at this point the only kind of advantage that this ability would have. So either way, not a big boost when it comes to our Bhaalspawn abilities after this challenge. This challenge is mostly about the role-playing aspects of it, I guess. And with that, we're going to end this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.